कर ले सबका तू मन मधुरस घोल रे, कर ले संतों का संग तज मन मिथ्या कुसंग, शरण प्रभु की आजा रे। पल पल जीवन जाए रे, कर ले प्रभु का भजन, शरण प्रभु की आजा रे।
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Deepa, do you have a question?
Yes. So the Bhakta and the Jnani, they approach the final stage till meditation using different equipment, predominantly different equipments. So we can say that the Bhakta has a less developed intellect than the Jnani. So
Gross intellect.
gross intellect. So because the meditation uses subtle intellect, neither of them will find any issues doing meditation or
They'll find different kinds of issues. Everybody's going to find an issue in everything. But for a bhakta, what is the problem is always that he loves. So he's not able to give up the thought that he is so attached to that idea. For a jnani, it's more like the obsession with the goal. It comes out to the same thing, really, but there are two different ways of looking at it. Like the jnani is like determined to get to the goal. You have to give that up.
but the Jnani's developed gross intellect will not give him an edge during meditation.
Mm-hmm. It will give him an edge only in the sense that since he has studied, he can anticipate things that will happen. The bhakta has not been concerned so much with studies, let us say. Obviously, he also has had to study. And so, if I get at that stage, at this stage, what advantage? Let us say a person is at 25% development. Okay, the two people. One is a bhakta, one is a jnani. What is the additional advantage at 25% that a jnani is getting over the bhakta? Only insofar that since he's studying, he can make some predictions. So it's the same thing up to the end. It's going to be like that. Since he's studying, he'll realize that, oh, I see. So when you cling on to people, then they want to run away from you. I mean, he's got something. One is a bhakta got, he said, he'll say, oh, love means that you should not have expectation. You should not ask anything from that person. Right? But he doesn't actually see what is the correlation over here. He just knows that, true love means that you're not asking for. So that kind of little bit advantage you get.
Thank you. I had one more question regarding the term that we use for the self as pure consciousness. So the way we think of consciousness is either conscious of something as in thought or conscious of nothing as in deep sleep.
Consciousness is always thought. There is no consciousness of nothing. Nothing. If you're conscious of actually nothing, you won't be conscious. You're conscious of nothing in the sense of that thought of nothing. So
So
consciousness is always thought.
so how we think of consciousness is always with respect to a thought. So the when we think of pure consciousness is not really consciousness as we know it.
Right.
Is okay. So it's a completely, I mean, we call it pure consciousness because of the lack of conditioning, but what it is, we don't know. Like it it is very different from the nature of consciousness that we are accustomed to here.
Correct.
Thank you.
So what we were studying about last time is how when you don't have access to a higher pleasure, you don't know what it is. For instance, what is the pleasure a mother gets out of having a child? How is that? How is a person to know the pleasure of parenthood until you have become a parent? Or even the pleasure of auntyhood and unclehood until you have a nephew? There's the thing is, if you can't know the pleasure of something until that experience is there, correct? You don't know what you're missing. So similarly, in the spiritual realm, I mean, I don't know, it's a common thing to use this terminology, spiritual realm. But what it means is, in life, when you're trying to grow up, you don't want to grow up because you don't know that there is pleasure there. You can't understand this. How would you? It's impossible. Therefore, everybody would love to restrict their growth to higher levels. They don't want to grow. As far as they can see it, this is true for all of us at every stage of the journey. As far as you can see it from where you stand, there seems to be a lot of effort and nothing at the end of it. This is how it appears, right? So, like a child says, "What, I have to keep studying, and then then what? I go to just study, and then I have to get married and have a family and run a household." And like, makes sense to the child, and it can't. Now, once you get that, you become sympathetic to yourself. And when you become sympathetic to yourself, you become sympathetic to others. There is a lacuna in the amount of effort we put in to grow. Why is that lacuna there? Because we don't seem to get. I mean, not don't seem to get. There's no way we can understand what we will get. We can't understand it. So, therefore, through knowledge, we must make some projection. I know the pleasure. Let us say now, I know the pleasure of studying Vedanta. Right? Some pleasure I'm getting out of it. Did I understand this pleasure before I studied Vedanta? Everybody will tell you that I mean, I think it's more or less universal. Everyone will say that they are more calm or more whatever. But did you know this? So every step forward will give you more, and every step forward will seem unnecessary. This is the problem with life. So we have to learn through knowledge that subtler growth is equivalent to higher happiness. You get that through knowledge because you cannot get that through experience. Then you can verify that knowledge through your experience. That you can do. So that's where we were. Yes, Bharat?
Uh, we can't seem to verify from our own past experience also, right? I mean, we have put in some effort and gained certain things, but we yet restrict the further growth by putting in the effort.
Yes. I mean, you have to be told, like, like as it is happening in class, that see, earlier you did not experience this, now you're experiencing this, so therefore when you grow further you will experience further. This is all knowledge, no? So through knowledge you can speculate, but through experience you can verify. But we don't get it even after being told. You've been told this 100 times, don't get it. You feel जो मिला वो अच्छा है, enough है. Whatever I got, it's enough. I mean, I'm happy now. But what we don't realize is at every stage we felt like that. We felt, okay, this is good. What's wrong with it? We can be like a curious explorer, yes. But only once you figured this much out, that every growth is going to give you commensurate increase in happiness. Now, the problem is to grow, you have to put in work. This work is not pleasurable. How is it ever going to be pleasurable to say, I'm an idiot, I have to control myself, I have to do this, I am such an idiot, why did I not get this? How is this pleasurable? So it's not easy. Suppose you and somebody have a disagreement, to go back and say, what did I do wrong? Especially when you see that the fault is the other person's. Totally, 100% according to you, is the fault is the other person. Yet, what did I do? For instance, if I go to a tiger with a lot of love in my heart and I pet him nicely, and he nicely bites off my hand only, according to me, the tiger is 100% wrong. What did I do? I only gave him love. But look at what he did to me. He is 100% wrong. When you begin to get what you are doing wrong over there, that's when you mature as a human being. You begin to get it. Okay, this was a tiger I just pet. If I pet the tiger again, he will do this again. And if I do it again, he will do it again. Then I can't say, so many times I told you, you still don't get it. How would he get it? He's a tiger. He will take both your hands and both your legs also. He is not supposed to get anything. You are supposed to get it. So once you're able to figure this much out, you're ahead of the game. So yes, you can be a curious explorer only as long as there's some knowledge backing it. Bharat. Trouble is that humans turned from cute kittens to tigers in no time. But cute kittens do grow into tigers, you know. All the little small cats become big cats eventually. When it's a small cat, you have to know this. I'm dealing with a small cat. The small cat will become a big cat one day. You've got to get that. Like every rose plant doesn't poke you, know, when it's a baby. But if you know it's a rose plant, you will be aware that the thorns are coming. अभी नहीं है, पर आने वाले हैं. So Now, where were we? We were in how, when you have gone up higher, you enjoy greater ripples of pleasure. Everyone's clear about this so far, right? Now let's go further. The great paradox. Okay, continue, Mahesh. Purifying the mind means improving its texture from gross to subtle, from selfish to unselfish, thinking less about oneself and more about others. The great paradox of life is that the more selfish we are, the more our attention is focused on others. This is a very interesting phenomenon. In Vedanta, the way we put it is that you think less of yourself, you think more of others. Thinking of yourself is selfish, thinking of others is unselfish. We talk like that. But in the world, they don't talk like that. That's not the language. The more selfish we are, the more our attention is focused on others. So such a person can say, where am I thinking about myself? I'm thinking about him or her. We get fixated on objects or beings, on what people are doing, on what they think, on money, on status. The list is endless. So when you're thinking of all these things, are you thinking of yourself? You're thinking of others. You're thinking about what they're thinking. You're thinking about your beloved. You're thinking all these various things. You're thinking of yourself. You're thinking of the other. The list is endless. This makes one defocus from oneself. One no longer knows where one is going or why. In a peculiar sense, selfish people think more of others than themselves. Maslow presented the hierarchy of the 5 human needs as depicted below. Okay, so lowest is physiological needs, then there are safety needs, then there's love and belonging, esteem and respect, and finally there is self-actualization. You're all familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everyone has these requirements. The question is, like, everybody has physiological needs, right? Everybody needs to be safe and secure. All these needs are there for everybody. Everyone has these requirements. The question is, where is the focus? Where is the fulcrum of life placed? After all, the only difference between a wise person and an ignorant person is the focus or emphasis. Ignorance means putting the accent on the wrong syllable. Every syllable in a word is important. There won't be a word, right, unless all those syllables are there. Every syllable in a word is important. What distinguishes a fluent speaker from a fumbling one is where is the accent placed. Let us put the accent on the right syllable in life. Our binoculars just need a little refocusing, and then it's all clear for miles on end. A little adjusting of our sights, and hey presto, there we are, as wise as anyone. So simple it is, right? You just change your focus, and you are the wisest person. Unselfishness is a sudden break to the extroversion of the mind. The outward turning mind has suddenly looked within and found happiness. Now, this is all usage of language. And so many people misunderstand it. They think, okay, I'll look within. What will I do? I will sit in meditation. You can sit in all the meditation of the world. You will not find the bliss until you learn to grow up. When the mind seeks outside for its happiness, it finds a strain, a stress, a disturbance to itself. The same mind looking within finds rest and peace. This is depicted iconographically by showing the god Vishnu lying on a serpent. The many headed serpent, that is the ego, turns within and sees Vishnu resting on the coils. You know this famous imagery, no? Shesha Shayana. He's lying on the serpent, on Sheshanaga. He's lying on that. He's a 1,000-headed serpent. And there is Vishnu sleeping on those coils. You have seen this. Tisha, you've seen it? Yes or no?
I just Googled it while you were talking.
All right. So it's a very, very famous. Have you ever been to India before?
Twice.
Twice. Okay. So if you've been to any temple, you'll see many of the temples. I just went. Where did I go? It's beautiful Shesha Shayana. We saw. Where did we go? Just now we saw a very, very beautiful one. Yeah, Chennai. Very beautiful one. Lying down in all his glory. Now, what does it mean? Yes, Sri Radhisha. Sri Radha is the ocean of milk. When he's on this. So Shesha is the Naga. So Shesha Shayana means lying on the snake. So what is it representing? It's representing our constitution. What is this 1,000-headed snake over there? Is there such a thing? What it means is we have an ego. That ego, the snake, has 1,000 heads, means it's looking in all directions. And as long as it does that, it's all waving and, getting all agitated. But when it turns its head within, it turns all those heads inward. It sees Vishnu lying there. Now, what is Vishnu? Just the inactive principle. That's why he's Shayana, he's sleeping. He is not giving you happiness. He is who he is. He is where he is. But when you turn your attention to him, you find a sudden soothing of agitations. Looking within means being congruent with oneself and doing what seems right or appropriate to our intellect. It puts aside the mind's petty pleasures for something more synced with its values. When we do what we believe is important, we experience a completely different level of satisfaction. The petty distractions of the mind prevent this independent happiness we are all capable of accessing. To be deeply true to one's inner world, to one's calling, is an irreplaceable contentment. It is not to be confused with the contentment of doing nothing, such as pig's contentment. Nor is it the contentment of things going one's way. Okay, so two types you have. One is you are in pig's contentment. You don't know only you're unhappy. A pig just goes in all the dirt and is okay, it's happy in all that muck. So similarly, we live terrible lives, but you're okay with it. The other thing is things are all going the way I want it to go, and therefore I'm happy. So that's not what we're talking about. Neither of these two. What are we talking about? To be authentically unselfish requires thought and application as to what is beneficial. That requires quiet time with oneself to consider what is most true to oneself, what is our particular way of responding to a need. That's when you become authentic. Sit quietly by yourself. Figure out what, according to you, is an important thing to do. What is the need you are responding to? You're chasing your family or children or whatever chasing. Stop and think, what is the need you're responding to? Do they have a need? Is the need yours? No, 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 I have to give my child his breakfast and his lunch and his dinner. I have no time for Vedanta. I have to feed my children. Okay, very good. How old are your children? One is 50, one is 55. So whose need are you responding to? Your need, their need. Whose need are you responding to? So, what is the right way of responding to this need? If my 50-year-old child needs me to cook for them, what is the right way for me to respond to this need? Given, not given, which one is more unselfish? Yes, Bharat?
Going back to the great paradox, when we say that selfish people are focused outside, it seems that unselfish and selfish people are focused outside, but with a completely different focus. Selfish people are, I mean, perhaps try to put people down, whereas unselfish ones think of the cooperative endeavor. Would that be correct?
It's just a play on words because many times people don't understand the concept of looking within and looking out. So they understand looking within as sitting in meditation, doing self care. That's a big thing nowadays. I don't know. You know about this, Bharat, all the self care routines, which are supposed to be very, very. You have to go to the salon and have a 12-step treatment for your skin. And this is self care. Self.
No, I didn't know that, but I'm tempted to find out more.
Okay, I'll tell you, Bharat. Come, I'll take you there also. It's a very, very, to sit down, to relax, with the music. Then I don't know the 12 steps that you'll have to find out from them. And then you come out feeling great. There's a very funny video where a man has made a video. I don't know if you have seen it. That it basically is saying that independent woman nowadays, yeah, you think you are competing with other. He's talking. He's telling his male friends apparently. You think you're competing with other men. You're not. You're competing with her routine of skincare, with her need to lie in bed and not explain to you why she's there. It's a funny video he has made. She doesn't want you in her life. She's too busy doing her hair, doing her whatever she does. Interesting. So when we are talking about uh, looking outside or looking within doesn't mean you're sitting and you're doing your own, how do I look better? How do I dress better? How do I speak better? Not what looking within is. Looking outside doesn't refer to, oh, what is he saying? What is she saying? What does he worn? What does she worn? You see, so the only point over here is to sort of get our terminology correct. In Vedanta, when we say looking within, you're becoming unselfish, right? So that means you're being more concerned about other people. So then people say, I'm very concerned about him. Look, he's bought a new car. Why should he buy a new car? Why is he doing excessive expenditure? Why is he showing off? Okay, none of your business. Did he take your money and buy this car? Then why do you have a view? You see that. Yeah, it's just trying to put it in different language because it is generally misunderstood. So when a mother says, "I'm very, very concerned about my child," and she's nagging the child or whatever, she thinks that uh, she's being unselfish. You're seeing the sort of dichotomy that arises over here. That's what it's talking about. So when you said correctly, the attitude is different, but it need not just be cooperative endeavor. That's just one possibility.
Okay, thank you.
objections to unselfishness. So people say, what unselfishness you do? I keep thinking of others, who's going to think of me? So first objection to unselfishness is, what will happen to me? Whenever we think of unselfishness, we always start with a doubt. If I think of others, who will think of me? But why does the mind believe that there is always a clash of interests? True unselfishness is beneficial to both the giver and the receiver. A hotel owner who cares about the comfort and well being of his customers runs a more profitable business. A doctor who is concerned about the health of his community becomes well known. A clash of interests is not the norm. Altruism is natural. It is the norm that when people are service oriented, the community flourishes. In a family, if everyone thinks of the other, it nurtures a good atmosphere. But when we place our needs above all others, there is friction and discontent, internal and external stress. We need to retrain the mind to consider what will be in everybody's interest instead of ours alone. Everybody includes us, of course. Why believe competition is life? It is often very short-sighted to see only one individual's interest. Isn't that true? How short-sighted to see one individual's interest. All our destinies are inevitably intertwined. In the long term, interests converge. We learn this lesson from nature. Nature is an ecological choir, not a cacophony. All species coexist and their presence benefits the system. Right? Is there any creature on the surface of this earth who's not necessary? Is there any creature who we could just remove because we don't like it? And the world will go on fine? Not really, right? They say that if you removed all bees, the world will be barren in 4 years. We will be dead. Humans will be dead in 4 years. I don't know. I'm not verified that, but that's what they say. Humans, okay, maybe humans. All species coexist and their presence benefits the system. We don't even know how human beings could possibly benefit the system. We don't do it is another thing, but we could. Look at our bodies too. Can the hand benefit itself to the exclusion of the foot? The body cannot survive if all its parts don't work cooperatively. You've realized that, na? Suppose now the right hand, there's a famous story, you know, they say that the right hand one day became very selfish and said, I have to do all the work, then I have to feed the mouth, and the whole body gets whatever I am doing. So what will I do? I will not allow this. I will try inject my own hand with all the with the carrot. Then the poor hand died and the body also died. You can't do it that way. It's made to function together. I know I must have heard this story as a child about the selfish hand who only wanted to feed itself. No, it has to put it in the mouth only. You have no option. The body cannot survive if all its parts don't work cooperatively. In fact, the beauty is how various body parts compensate for one another. They make up for each other's incapacities. When one leg limps, the other takes the weight. When the eyes are challenged, other senses compensate. So too is nature. Every aspect is necessary for the world's well-being. All must work well and work together. So why not replace competition with cooperation? or else it becomes the tragedy of the commons, as shown by Williams Foster Lloyd. He demonstrated how unregulated grazing on common land exploited and eventually depleted it. Each one takes a little more than he should, and finally, there is nothing left for anybody. I'm not sure if you are familiar with this very common thing. It's called the tragedy of the commons. So the commons means that area of a village or anything which is free for everybody. Right? Suppose there's a lake, for instance, and all the fish are in the lake. So if everybody fished responsibly, then the population of the fish will grow and sustain the village. But if I say, no, why not I take a little more than I should, then my neighbor also says, oh, that person took a little more, why should I not take a little more? And eventually, the fishing cannot be sustained by that family by that group of fish, and finally there's no fish for anyone. So same thing happens, whether it is sending your cows out to graze. You allow them to consume so much of it that finally there is no grass left for any cow to graze. So this is the tragedy of the commons, which means if there's any common asset between people, then only way is responsible consumption. Otherwise, nobody gets anything in the end. And this is very clearly observable in today's world, right? Very clearly observable. If, let's say, the roads are free for everybody to use, but if people don't drive responsibly, means there's no traffic light, they don't follow the traffic lights, eventually nobody will be able to move on that road. So this is collectively known as the tragedy of the commons. Tragedy of the commons means the grasslands on which the cows graze, but it's referring to any kind of commonly shared asset. Each one takes a little more than he should, and finally, there is nothing left for anybody. This is not sustainable. Many Indian joint families fall into this trap. Each one takes an additional amount for himself, and finally, there is nothing left for anyone to take. Even in businesses, sometimes they start withdrawing sums from the common kitty. And then eventually, so many of these massive business houses have crashed. 150 years ago, if you can recall, who were the big names in business? And how many of them are still there today? Because of this, everyone is helping yourself. Each one takes an additional amount for himself, and finally, there is nothing left for anyone to take. This is true for any shared but unregulated resource, such as oceans, atmosphere, or roads. This is why business gets a bad name, because this is what sometimes they do. Business is necessary for development, for prosperity. Then, why is his business-minded considered a criticism? Because of the assumption of my profit at your cost. Profit at any cost is so myopic that it leads to a complete breakdown. You remember when the financial crash took place in 2008? They wanted to take more and more and more of profit. America crashed and the world crashed. There was a whole financial breakdown. That's why we struggle with sustainable development. Imagine a crossroad where the traffic signals are not working. Everyone would be in a logjam. But once, the author witnessed an interesting sight. At an intersection, the traffic signals had malfunctioned. So, a few cars from every lane, one by one, advanced while the others waited voluntarily. No one was caught up in a traffic jam. A miracle. How well it all functioned, you know. Like a few cars from one would go and then they would voluntarily stop. Then the next line, few cars would go, voluntarily stop. A miracle. And if everybody functioned like this in the world, what happens? Traffic is flowing smoothly in spite of no traffic lights. And you know which city this was witnessed in? You'll never guess. Delhi, the last city you would expect to see this in.
I can't believe that.
Yes. Yeah, how was a miracle? Like everybody's so disciplined, each one just voluntarily stopping and moving, voluntarily stopping, moving. Imagine if we had society functioning like this. But when one breaks the well, no one was caught up in a traffic jam. That's how unselfishness works. But when one breaks the order, others do so too, and finally, no one can move. Where greed supplants the common good, all suffer. Have you ever been pleased when someone gave way on the street? Suppose your car had to go and somebody let you go. Have you not felt happy that he let me go? Wouldn't it be nice to be that giver? To give that joy to someone else? And mark the feeling when you do. True giving benefits both the giver and the receiver. Like mercy, it's twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. Do you remember this famous
Yeah, Shakespeare.
yes, Portia's speech when she is pleading to Shylock that don't take that pound of flesh. She says, quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It's just seven. That these very famous lines. It's twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. Ah, you say, therein lies the catch. Everyone has to be unselfish, but people around me aren't. They are greedy. What will happen if I alone am unselfish? Another problem that is there, right? That we think, oh my God, everybody has to do this. No, if I alone give way, then people will just run over me. What will happen if I alone am unselfish? You will become the leader of the community. People will look up to you. Lead the way. Humans are social animals. They want to be good members of their society. Do the right thing. Others will soon start emulating. Don't preach, just do. People will themselves offer resources to you for the work. Money, time, conveniences. Watch how that little act grows into something big. Look around. You can find endless examples of this. In New Delhi, one man took up the task of cleaning the street in front of his house. He kept his and the neighboring streets clean. The two warring factions of the welfare society approached him to be the general secretary. He was the only person the entire community agreed on. This is a true story. The person has passed away, or I would have introduced you to that person. He did nothing. He retired from his job and he went to live in Greater Kailash. And what he did was he just cleaned the streets in front of his house. That's all he did. He just ensured that the streets around the house were kept clean. He took the trouble to do that. And the garden opposite the house, he took trouble to, he put in time, effort, and energy to do that. His wife used to say he's the head gardener over there. But he took care of it. He is in that welfare. So, you know how in Delhi colonies, right? There's a fight on who will be general secretary, who will be chairman, and all. The two fighting fellows, they came to him and they made him the general secretary. Whether you like it or not, you are general secretary. So if you alone are unselfish, you become the leader of that society. You don't believe me, you try it. Don't preach. Then so many times you will also see that somebody just takes up something. Okay, somebody says, okay, chalo, let's all meet. Simple thing, let's all meet. Come to my house, let's all meet. So then that somebody will go to that person and say, I'll get pani puri, okay, for everybody. Then somebody else will say, okay, I will get chole bhature. You just take a lead. You start doing things for people. People will join you and do it. Because that's human nature. Trust human nature. Everybody wants to be good. Everybody wants to be part of the community. Everybody is altruistic. Just give them half a chance. When you lead the way, it will happen. Haven't you experienced this in your life? You all come on, give me some examples. Yes,
And Janki ji, actually, the same example in Dubai office, they used to have potluck dinner because they are different nationality. Then in our company here, we have 6 people. Nobody was taking interest. Then I said, I'm from South India, Hyderabad. I'll bet lemon rice. Then somebody, woman here, listened, no, I will also bring some halwa. So everybody started. It was really this. Everybody brought, and we had once in a while breakfast in the office.
Very nice. Hey, just start. And you don't know, so many people have started so many things and others have joined them and done it. So human beings are like that. Anyone else has any other example to give us? Because otherwise you won't believe me. Amarendra tells you, then you believe. Anyone else has any example? Just somebody start something and others will join you. Mary, what are you all so quiet about? Nobody has any examples to give us. They make saints out of people who don't want anything. Okay, but give us an example. No, what are you? Don't give general gyan. Give us an example where a person started something and others just joined. What? None of y'all can think of anything. Akhila started doing a little journal. Everybody joined. Correct? Deepraj started doing some research. People have joined. And what all? Everybody is doing whatever they are doing. People are joining and doing, no? The whole institution is only running like that. Somebody starts doing something, others join, and then that's we have a department. I started writing a book. Then Momita said, "Okay, I will do this for the book." Book is out. This is just normal life. So do not think that if you are, if you do something, what everybody will take advantage of you. That's not normal life. Normal life is people will join. When Amaranda said, I'll get a lemon rice, everybody didn't say, oh, very good, just get enough for all of us. Somebody said, I'll get this. Then next time, maybe somebody else would have brought something. That's normal life. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so first objection to unselfishness. Is that clear? What will happen to me? Nothing will happen to you other than the fact that you will become a leader. Then second objection to unselfishness. Unselfishness causes trouble. This is the second problem people have. There is yet another objection to unselfishness. People claim that they get into trouble by being unselfish. But unselfishness has to be distinguished from foolishness. Then you'll have so many stories. मैंने उसको जाके मदद की और ये हुआ और वो हुआ. So many stories you'll hear. I was trying to be helpful and this and that, and look what a mess I'm in now. Unselfishness has to be distinguished from foolishness. There's a saying that charity creates more problems than she solves and cannot solve half the problems she creates. Keep giving doles to the poor and one keeps them in poverty. A mother indiscriminately giving money to her child will soon create more problems than she can solve, or even indiscriminate service. Keeping the child's room clean is not a parent's primary responsibility. Teaching the child to keep a room clean is. We need not make ourselves martyrs to the faults of others. When we encourage their faults, we are doing them a disservice. We are harming them, others, and ourselves. Sometimes people take advantage of our goodness. What happens if I allow people to precede me in, say, traffic, but no one allows me? In such a case, one has two alternatives. One could choose to be magnanimous if the matter is petty, or else put a stop to it. People cannot be allowed to steal from us. That is the story of the Mahabharata. Krishna instructs the Pandavas to raise arms and fight. After every compromise had been tried, there is nothing left but to take on a full-scale war. Not a nice alternative, but sometimes unavoidable. Don't enter into a fight lightly, but if in, fight completely. That's Shakespeare's advice. Beware of entrance into a quarrel. Don't enter a quarrel, but if you do enter a quarrel, then make sure the opponent bewares you. Now, okay, so beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, there, that the opposed may beware of thee. This is part of Polonius's advice to Hamlet. Niceness should not be misconstrued as weakness. Putting a hard stop to people stealing from us is not selfishness. Please remember this. Putting a hard stop to people stealing from us is not selfishness. Rather, it is a virtue to discourage the selfishness in others. Selfishness is not a good thing. Allowing it to flourish is abetting a crime. Good people doing nothing is often all it takes to plunge society into an abyss of selfishness. Putting a stop to it can happen in many ways. There are many pleasant ways to try, such as education, inspiration, persuasion, before we undertake a harsh one. A full-out war is the last step when all others have failed. You know the comments. What is Sama Danda? The Danda comes last. So when we say we should stop others from being selfish, it's not that you go and hold somebody's hand and stop them from being selfish. There are nice ways of doing it too. And the nicest way of making people not be selfish is
You becoming
educating them.
unselfish yourself.
Leading by example.
The nicest way, the quietest way. Yes, you're not incorrect, of course. Here the problem is when people are not following you. You are living your life. Yeah. So, but sometimes what happens if you're the only one? That's the problem we are doing. So we can't say just continue living your life, right? I hope your first point says that live your life, people are altruistic, they will join you. Second point says, what if they don't? Then you don't be stupid. You have to deal with the situation. But there are nice ways of doing it. And the nicest way is What is the nicest, quietest, best way of ensuring people are not selfish in society?
Do what needs to be done, whether they like it or not.
Okay, that was point one. This is second. Now people are not following your example just by living that life. So you have so many tools, right? And the harshest one is full out war. You take them on. But before you reach that, there are many things available to us. Of these many things available to us, the nicest, sweetest, best way is it
To
not
be
education? Correct. But which education? What is the most powerful way to make people not be selfish?
be kind to them.
You are not following the line of thought. First is you live that life, people will follow you. So the second objection is, what if they don't? So मैं बेचारा फंस गया है ना? Well, okay, then you deal with it when people don't. Now deal with it, everybody say, okay, chalo, war karte hain. Well, the author says, don't go all out. First, go with the easier methods, nicer methods, education, persuasion. So many methods you have. Right? So I'm asking you now, what is the best way to ensure that in society there isn't so much selfishness?
Knowledge of Vedanta.
Very good. How come nobody answered this question? When the knowledge of Vedanta spreads everywhere, what will happen? Obviously, people will become less selfish. They know, but what about my son? He's not interested. You forget your son for the moment. If you are able to have to put in your effort so that knowledge of Vedanta is more pervasive, more and more people will become unselfish, right? It's the easiest, simplest, nicest, pleasantest method of get of spreading the concept of unselfishness. Education is right, but education of what? If they start studying microbiology, they may not become. So education on Vedanta. So a primary duty for all of us who care about our society, a primary duty should be to spread this knowledge. Everything else is secondary, because the more people who have this knowledge, the more happy they themselves are, the more happy they make people around them, and the more the community will benefit. I mean, it's the easiest, simplest, pleasantest. We don't want to reach war, right? Why do we reach war? Because nobody has bothered to educate anybody. There's somebody be educated in Vedanta in that group, and then that person will keep the madness to a minimum.
But Janki ji, ma'am, during our interaction, maybe we find like these people, whatever we say, they will not do and all. We try to tell them. But still we see, we are seeing how many people we are reaching, WhatsApp, this, but still we have, the percentage is very, very less. But maybe out of 10, we try one may appear. Like the same thing happened when we had initial crowdfunding. Many people, if we reach 100, even 5 or 10 people responded. We know how we talked like last time in the first phase of the things. So that's how I think maybe.
Slowly. I mean, because here we are asking for a lot. We're asking people to erase their selfishness, which nobody wants to give up. So it's a time consuming process. But even a few people do it, even, if let's say in your organization, there are a few people who don't listen. No matter what happens, they don't do anything sensible. That percentage will always be there. The bigger problem is not those people. The bigger problem is all the other people who don't seem to understand what's going on. They attribute the faults to the wrong people. So even if we leave these people who are incorrigible, at least everybody else be sensible. And that's what happens with Vedanta. More and more people in that group become more balanced. So that's all we can attempt to do. We can never attempt to make everybody sensible. But the more balanced people there are, the more that situation will work. Otherwise, somebody's fault and the boss fires somebody else only. Yes, Taruna?
Janki, this is an in general approach that spreading the knowledge of Vedanta, but in a specific condition where people are behaving selfishly, how to deal with them?
Now that depends on the person. Na? Is he available for intellectual reasoning? Is he available for emotional? Does he get frightened out of consequences? So it depends on the situation, which tool you're going to use. Sometimes you have to find the right time to talk to people. Sometimes it's best if you ignore them. Sometimes it's best if you get other people doing the right things and then this person just joins. So it depends on the situation. There's so many ways of dealing with it.
Right. Thank you.
Mahesh, people say unselfishness is for the saints. We can't do it. Well, the saints became saints because, saints became saints, right? They weren't just simply born. Every saint was not simply born. So obviously there was a time they were unsaintly, and many of them have given us reports of how unsaintly they were. So they converted themselves. So why can't we convert ourselves? Mahesh, I helped me to join exams in spite of missing it himself. That was unselfishness of a great height. I don't know whether that was unselfishness or you gave him a method out, but yes, I'm glad he helped you. He's very helpful by nature. He's always willing to help everybody. So good. Yeah, we will discuss the exam tomorrow now. Okay, so that's it for today. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Amen.
Thank you, Janki. Hari Om.
Thank you, Jackie. Hari.
Thank you, Janki ji.